Yo, what up? It's your boy Zaud. Welcome to the Gulag. And basically, what I wanted to talk about right now, this is kind of an extension of Zod's vision. When we're doing other things, as far as like having other guests on, we will be doing it in a live studio or basically in a studio. But when we need to bring you something quick or something that we feel we need to talk about right away in a more intimate setting, seeing that we are in a Gulag, uh, don't necessarily pay attention to the background. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. It's a work in progress, but for the most part, as long as you can understand what I'm trying to bring to you, I guess I'm doing exactly what I need to do. But basically, man, the last time I had went live, it was for the people that were like, yeah, fix your internet. For one thing, the house is over there and the shed part is over here, so it's kind of a distance. And seeing that things are, it did on how to say fibers or whatever, or files or whatever, the way they transfer internet or whatever, we don't have that. You know what I mean? Even though we're under AT&T, they like in this particular area they don't have those. They gotta do a revamp of everything and get things more up to date and on par. And regardless of how much you pay for extra, it still continues to be this. Even paying a lot more, even in the house, the internet is shoddy. I've bought all types of you know uh boosters for the internet, and we bought the best one and still did absolutely nothing. So basically that's what I was left with as far as going live this far away from the house. Now in the house there's still a little bit of, you know what I mean, but it's nothing on that level of distortion. And I was surprised that people actually sat down to pay attention to it, seeing that you could barely see uh what I was doing. But I guess I won't say that I was that entertaining when it came to, this war that's ongoing. And that's something I really want to talk about right now too. You know what I mean? Like I seen the whole thing with Putin, and he's sitting down with one of the dudes from Ukraine. I'm not particularly sure who the president is nowadays, because they show one guy that was like the ex-president, and they show the real president, and he's basically telling Putin like, I'm out here. You know what I mean? You can get that smoke, but there's a lot of things, a lot of different things taking place. You got people that want to leave the Olympics in order to come back to Ukraine in order to fight, and that's honorable. You know what I mean? But for the most part, if you don't have to, just stay doing your thing. You can do things for your country without getting involved in this war. Especially, you already got the Kalinsky brothers. Man, I don't even want to say the name. Sorry. You know what I mean? That you already know who the boxers are. They plan on taking part in this war. But if anything's a silver lining is the fact that Putin actually, I guess, sat down with somebody of the Ukrainian government, and I guess they plan on squashing things. But it's yet to be determined. But I spoke on it before, exactly what it was about, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things that that this particular war is about. But for the most part, there was a lot of things that were going on. Now, don't get me wrong. Putin is part of he has that old Cold War thinking. The when Russia was at its strongest, when they had all these other countries that were enveloped under, what I mean, under the under Russia, basically. Sorry if I'm stuttering. I'm cold as hell out here, but I felt like I needed to talk to a few people, because there's a few things that they were saying that I didn't necessarily respond to them, because I try to avoid trolls, especially when they make absolutely no sense. Now, if it comes to a constructive conversation, what I mean, you give me constructive criticism, how I can better my my podcast slash channel slash whatever, then I'm all ears, because I'm a hustler and I'm gonna get it how I get it. Now, the whole thing with Putin, I tell you, he's been putting it off for quite some time. But I mean, you push the bear long enough, and he's gonna snap back. And the U.S. has been pushing at this bear for a while, and like I said, he picked the perfect time to want to invade Ukraine, if simply for the fact that our government, what I mean, as far as like those who are in power as of now, I don't want to say the Democrats, but they're looking weak right now, and it's due to this president and the fact that this president refuses to do anything outside of sanctions. Now, uh, I think Putin is starting to understand that some of these sanctions are hurting his bottom line, and not necessarily his pocket, because I'm sure he has all types of like offshore things, places where his money and people that will rally behind him. If only in secrecy, because I mean, you had China as basically one of their greatest allies, but yet when the sanctions were imposed, they were the first ones to vote on these sanctions on Russia, which was surprising, but not necessarily surprising to the not so surprising. I could see it because it takes the attention off them, like, you know what I mean, as far as them being warned, like, look, if you try something, this is exactly what's going to happen to you. And I think China kind of gets it, so they want to remove themselves until they make their move, which I'll get into that in a second. The whole thing with them and what they've been trying to do and posture and basically warn the West on exactly what they hope to accomplish and not to get involved. But now, due to all the posturing from the U.S., as far not even necessarily the U.S., but from our now elected president, Joe Sleepy Biden, this dude has been weak from the gate, and everybody knew it. I had a conversation with an individual today, and I think he's been following my channel for quite some time, and my social media as far as IG, and he had made a statement. It was kind of bold, but it was like basically, everything that Trump had did, and like all like the little he said and all that, and that basically if you voted for him, you had to be stupid, like, to overlook everything that he did. So I in turn told him, well, if you voted for Biden, you would have to be, lack some semblance of intelligence. If I mean, especially, and I'll take that back. You don't lack intelligence. You chose who you wanted to be in office, in hopes of him being in office, and you accomplish your goal. So kudos to you. Now, for the ones that don't feel like they need to jump on the Biden train, you got to respect that as well. But I in turn told him that, well, outside of the fact of Biden saying that if you're not, well, basically you're not black, not even basically, he said it outright, like, you're not black basically if you don't vote for him. Not only that, dude is probably one of the last real Dixiecrats. He's in a picture hugged up with the Grand Wizard. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know how much people tend to overlook things, but I mean, you can dig back and you can also look at some of his speeches that they don't borderline on hate. They're just exactly what it is. He considers blacks like the Clintons, predators. And I'm not here, to get on them, race as far as that, but it's just to point out a few things. Like, so if you point a finger at Trump, then you got to point fingers at him. And which I then in turn told him that if the plight of the black man was so strong under Trump, why was it that for years the blacks have given him multiple accolades? Like, he's got awards that blacks that have been around longer than him and doing things haven't got, but they gave him multiple accolades. So I was like, when you think about it, I really couldn't understand it, but I was like, okay, so you can overlook all that, then maybe, if then you're sleeping, you know what I mean? And of course, I'm not going to get disrespectful when it comes to politics, because politics are politics. It's just, it's his opinion, and he has a right to his opinion, basically, you know what I mean? And I have a right to mine. And it's not to champion anybody, you know what I mean? It's like, we make our choices who we vote on. We made our choices who we chose to back. And I think a lot of people get shit misconstrued as far as, like, they think because you have like a background and you may have did things that were unsavory in the past, that you no longer have the right to decide certain things, or somehow you're not American, or you're not nothing. You're just an ex-criminal, and you have no right to really speak on nothing, which is a shame, because that's I don't know. People that think on that level are just small-minded, because if anything, you would want a person that's been incarcerated to not only excel, but to expand his mind and seek other things outside of, I can just go back to the street, rob this person, kill this person, bang this, bang that, and everything's just peachy cream. People expect that. It's like it's like I said a long time ago, people expect me to be absolutely the same as I was. And there was a reason why they called me wicked before. I mean, everybody knows blacks, but I mean, for the other people that knew what was up, they knew what was up with wicked, and and there's a reason that they called me that. But, at this age, I try to, not repress that or suppress that or whatever. I try to avoid certain things because it's no real, a lot of things that are taking place right now as far as like in the pen, and people going to prison for dumb things because they want to be boastful like that. Those don't really appeal to me at this age. Like I've been there, I've done that, and as much as people like to try to downplay it, like I've did it, I've survived. It's like, for the people that know my story, look, I'm a black Southern. I'm already in my 40s. And I rumbled. You know what I'm saying? Like I did what I needed to do to make my car look good. Not only my car, but my area. And I did what I needed to do to survive in prison. Sometimes a little bit. I did things that were unnecessary because I kind of relished in violence because you're in a setting to where violence is everything. So I relished in it, and Wicked fit right in at that point. I mean, there was times where, not to get sidetracked, but there's times that I did a little bit too much because it's just the type of person I am, you know what I mean? And as far as want to listen to certain things, like, yeah, I was a little unruly at times, but I also knew, there's situations you just couldn't win in. But now, let's get back to Sleepy Joe Biden. Biden has made the U.S. seem weak, but they have been doing it every. They get okay. This just dig into it. You had the 9/11 bombing. You know what I mean? A lot of people died. That's not the first time they've bombed the Twin Towers, but that one they successfully just did damage. Of course, the government already knew that it was coming. You had the people from Israel pull out all their money